second video today. So, remember I've been talking about the Acolyte. Well, I've went on, as I usually do every day, on IMDb Pro to see what Leslie Forehead is doing, and she added a casting director, and a production coordinator. And I'm going to tell you about these guys. First off, I'm going to tell you about who she picked. So, the casting director, Carmen Cuba, or Cuber, we'll just do the. Come on, open up. Come on. Let's go into her filmography. So, she did she's got, let's see. Let's go. She actually was a casting director with on Obi-Wan Kenobi, which is weird. I think she also, keep going down. That's it. She was a casting director for Obi-Wan Kenobi. So she's got a connection to Lucasfilm. Stranger Things this year. The Chi, got The Acolyte, and The Haunted Mansion. She's really not, but her name is Carmen Cuba, or Cuber, we'll just do the Kennedy thing. And she's kind of ugly. She's not an attractive woman. Let's go back, tell you who the production coordinator is. So, Ben Kozel. This is where it gets interesting. Let's see. He has done production coordination for, he's been on the set of Infinity War, Endgame, Spider-Man Far From Home, Tenet, The Courier, Venom, and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And he was production coordinator for Indiana Jones 5. So this is weird. Okay, these are people. He has at least one person connected, not only to Disney but to Kennedy. And he also did the production. I think he was the one. Let's see. All right. I think he also did. I think he was also did stuff. He did Doctor Strange, Into the Woods. Okay, one of these people did TLJ. I think Carmen Cuber. I'm gonna keep saying that. I don't care what anyone says. Or no, it wasn't. Okay, so the production designer, art director, did The Last Jedi and The Rise of Dipshit. Now, the movie meter for The Acolyte is down 1,369 for this week. Not that IMDb really means anything, but especially in this day and age. But why today? Yeah, that's probably, Cameron's got a point. She was given a budget. She's probably spending it. It still says it's in pre-production, but it's March. It's supposed to start production in May. And from what I've been able to discern from my spies in Britain, there's nothing on the table. And the volume stage in California is going to be used for Ahsoka. So, maybe she'll do it with hand puppets. I don't know. I'm looking at this stunned, but I think I know why this suddenly showed up. We've got Richard Campling's been connected to this for a while now. So, hey everybody in chat. Yeah, that's what I think it is, Cameron. I really think that so why today? Cameron brings up a point. The moment I saw this, um, I thought, Chapek's memo came out. Uh, the awfuls are having a hissy fit. That's why. The club is having a hissy fit, or what's left of the club, or whatever. Basically, Chapek's memo says we're not getting involved in Florida politics. I can't imagine. But look, these are people right now who don't understand that Disney gives money to both sides, to Democrats and Republicans. When last time I was at my oldest sister's house, my oldest brother had passed away in Kansas City, and we went to go spend time with my mom because she was there because Billy was in Kansas City. I don't want to get into that. Really don't want to get into that. Why he was there. And Mary was either out getting barbecue ribs or something, and we were sitting around drinking wine and beer. And my brother Jim walked over to the walk-in, this huge walk-in pantry, which I was like, that was filled to the brim with beer. Oh, that was like in 2006, Cameron. And he looked, and now you gotta understand, my sister Mary is the queen of awfuls. She's the queen of awfuls. And Jimmy says, look at this. And pinned to a bulletin board inside the door was a letter from the Republican National Committee thanking Heartland Foods and Bill and Mary Steeb for their $2,500 contribution. Mary Steeb, my sister, makes Hillary Clinton look like a rational human being. Okay. But business best practices says you kiss the ass of both sides. You kiss the ring of both. Okay. So what Hollywood doesn't understand, and what I didn't understand for a while, is that for a business to succeed, you have to pay attention to both sides and, pat them and dust them off and tell them they look nice and, brush off their suits and whatever, because you don't want one side or the other passing legislation against you. Like Democrat gets in Florida, they could easily stop any Disney expansion by saying it's environmentally impacting, wild alligators or some, just make up some wacko idea. If you didn't, if you went and said something that pissed off Republicans, you probably, well, start a boycott against you. I mean, we're talking Florida, all right, where a lot of people, it's a very libertarian state. It's not a conservative state. A lot of people I know who are, I got at least one pair of friends who are a gay couple who moved to Key West. One of them actually was the guy who started the Log Cabin Republicans. They fled to Florida, okay? All right. Being a Republican doesn't mean you're a stiff, okay? You're not, okay? And no, neither are you racist or a bigot or anything, okay? It doesn't even mean necessarily that you're even conservative. I don't even know what that word means anymore. Part of the reason why I left the Republican Party is because I saw, a guy that I championed when I was on the Hill, Paul Ryan, attacking our congressman here, Scott Perry. Okay, because Scott Perry supported President Trump. I always assumed that you support your leaders, right? You're supposed to support your party leader. I never thought in the whole world of me that I would ever see a Speaker of the House go on the offensive at his own party's leader because he didn't like his mean tweets. Okay. And this coming from someone who's very upset using her gas card, paying $4 a gallon. Okay, not happy. Yes, he was. He was. But there's a difference. There are Rockefeller Republicans and there are Reagan Republicans. And Reagan gets very much embraced the conservative label. But when you look at what he was trying to do, it was more of a populist brand, which I consider myself a populist. America first. You don't see me waving a Ukrainian flag. Okay? I have serious doubts about that country's government. Okay? I just stay out of it. It's none of our business. Don't make it worse. All right, if you want to go and make a fool of yourself and get captured by the Russians, go volunteer. Go do it. Okay? But don't expect the United States of America to want to get involved, because the vast majority of the people are like, no. We've been at war for 20 years. Our military's tired. It's stressed out. And I have a lot to say on that subject beyond that. Okay? It's just, and look, George Soros and Klaus Schwab want you to get involved in something like this. That's your first clue. That's probably not a good idea to do it. Okay? You got the two world's worst people. I mean, Klaus Schwab makes Senator Palpatine look like, you know, frickin' Grover Cleveland. Okay? I mean, anyway. So why is Headland doing this? Well, right now, JPEG is getting pummeled by Variety. I talked about that today. Probably Deadline, etc. Now, I'm going to say this. I don't think he cares. I think the board of directors is behind him, so he doesn't really care what they think. And this is interesting because I think it's going to show just where Kathy Kennedy's power is. Haha. Yeah. Well, someday I'll talk about him, Mr. Schwab, on a live stream, because he's a very he's a scary dude. I mean, he really is a scary dude. But so what I think Headland is trying to do is trying to force again with the attaching of Amandla Stenberg, trying to force Disney to feel guilty, so they give her the go-ahead to make this thing. Now, it looks to me that Kennedy might be behind this too, because the production coordinator just walked off. I mean, they just wrapped Indy 5. Yeah, well, I think he's going to have to, look, it's, oh, stop doing that to me. Stop it. It's March 8th. They've got a lot of, they don't have a lot of time. They're supposed to start filming in less than a month. Okay. I'm pretty, yeah, and she will, and it's gonna fall on deaf ears. I'm being beaten up right now on Instagram. I love it. Can't say anything. I mean, Ray the Untouchable. She's gonna try to do that. What Chapek does, I don't know, but we haven't seen movement on this thing in months. They announced the top cast for Indy 5, I think in March of or even February of 2021. So I'm I'm looking at that and going, okay, this has got to be Kennedy. This has got to be her behind this ultimately. Desperate to get something of hers made. Okay. And I really think that Kareem Davis and Chapek are just gonna have to say none yet. We're not doing this. This is stupid. Okay, we're not we're not doing this because they are they're not. I mean, this look. Anybody here want to see this? Anybody here actually buy the New Republic stuff? It's supposed to be attached to that dumpster fire. Okay, no one cares about it. Oh yeah, she is a fool. I mean, you're right. She doesn't understand that. Oh, I think she is. I think Susan Arnold's very aware of this. Um, if she had a discussion with Kennedy, and Kennedy must not have taken her seriously because the guy who is production coordinator just finished Indy 5. Okay. It just, that screams to me that Kennedy still thinks somehow, some way that she can get them to do something. But here's the problem. If it's a streaming series, Jon Favreau is involved then. And I don't think he wants to do this. I don't see Dave Filoni wanting to do this. Okay? I really, really, really don't. This seems like it's Headland at the behest of Kennedy trying to poke the bear again. And, it's one of those things where you almost feel like telling Frank Marshall, you got to get control of your wife. I know what she's doing. Tell her to knock it off. No one, look, the most unpopular person in a group is the one who's the most honest. Okay. This is why people get mad at me. All right. But I would have a heart to heart talk with him. Yeah, she does. Yeah, well, Headland really doesn't understand that she's kind of a pawn in this. See, Cameron's on the same wavelength I am. Headland doesn't understand that that now that I'm looking at who the production coordinator is and where he just came from, that this looks to me like Kennedy's still trying to get something made of hers. One thing. And the problem for Kennedy, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. I would say, look, can we detach it from Star Wars? All right, detach it from Star Wars. And here's, give her $100,000. Oh yeah, she is. She is. And I don't, I kind of don't believe she's aware of that. And yet I believe she is. All right. I believe that she's going to do whatever she has to for her to forward her own name. Look, let's go back to remember her on video at that, that she was on that panel where there were like 4 black women and her, and she turns to one of the ladies who's a far more accomplished producer than she is and goes, I just want you to tell me how I can be an ally to you. I'm like, and she goes on this phony sort of existential like soliloquy. And it's like, what the? And when she said that to that lady, her eyes got, that woman looked at her one like, what? It was literally the most condescending thing I have ever seen in my whole life. Okay. And I've seen authors do that to black men and women. All right. I have seen them do that. A taxi cab driver in London. And I'm like, oh, fuck. There's one of those things where you're like, I'm going to stand over here. What? Because you're about ready to get your ass kicked. I mean, just Treat people normally, okay? Treat them, if they're decent to you, be decent to them, all right? I mean, be welcoming to everybody, but don't treat people like children. That's what I saw. That's all this is about. Amanda Stenberg is a little pawn, okay? That's what she is. And does she know that? No, I don't think so. I really honestly don't think so. All right? And this is the problem. Headland with this, I'm the white whammon, I'm the awful, look, I'm going to save all of you. And Kennedy, the goddess, I'm the white whammon, I'm going to save all of you. Condescending to people because they're oppressed. And when you start talking to people out there, they're like, I'm not oppressed. I'm not. They're not. They're not. The racism comes from the people who's, here's the deal. You got people like Kennedy telling Headland, you're a lesbian, you're oppressed. Headland believing that she's oppressed, even though she worked for the most notorious sex abuser in Hollywood. And that's exactly the statement that anybody should be making to people like Kennedy. Okay. I mean, Harvey Weinstein did not oppress Leslie Headland. Okay. Now you got Leslie Headland telling a young black woman that she's oppressed. That's racism. All right. That's what that is. Okay. That is racism right there. Being a condescending, I'll take care of you. You just sit there and you don't have to worry about anything. It's putting people like Carrie Hart into a position that she's never been in, can't handle, and then firing her when she fails. Okay? All right? It should be about merit, not about tokenization, not about, because ultimately these women, it's Cameron knows this, it's always awfuls, affluent, white, female ultra leftists who do this. They walk in with a condescending look on their face, or they see someone who is a minority, and I don't believe in minorities. God made us all equal, okay? And they decide that person needs my protection, okay? I mean, I one of my former boss's top advisors was a black man, okay? Libertarian, crazy. We loved Horace. Horace ended up working at the Department of Labor for the Bush administration. One of the best generals my husband ever worked for, black man. How many we don't know. One of my best friends, a sister in Christ, she was my confirmation sponsor. Why do I have to say this? I don't like saying this stuff. But when I say stuff like this to an awful, they're like shocked. It's like when an awful finds out my friend Bruce started the Log Cabin Republicans. When an awful finds out that my friend Charles, who's a photographer and an actor in Hollywood, goes on rampages about Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama and the LGBTQXYZ community because they treat people like him like shit. Okay? When he had questions about certain things, behaviors that was going on during the AIDS crisis, he got shot down by his own people. Yeah, that's exactly self-hating. The people I talk about are not self-hating. They're not. I don't care about what they do in private. I don't. Jesus sat down and ate and broke bread with sinners. All right. He wasn't here for the righteous. He was here for the people who weren't saved, who were sinners. And that's the thing that we've got to remember. I'm just, going, why is she doing this? And then after discussing it with Cameron, it's like she's trying to get this thing made. And I honestly think Kennedy stepped in to try to help. Now, all right, now the story about Blood and Bone is the author got mad and pulled it. But I don't think so. I think it was a combination of three things: the author being upset that Kennedy wouldn't let her write the script, at least get a first shot. And Chapek looking at it going, Chapek and Favreau and Kareem Davis kind of looking at it going, this isn't Lucasfilm. We don't really feel comfortable making this, and Kennedy not paying any attention to it. Yeah, and the direct link between this, the stuff with the acolyte, and Kennedy is, get back on here. I'll get his name again. I never remember it. This guy, Ben Kozel, who is a direct, link between Kathy and Headland right here. And it comes out today. I'm going to say this: Disney employees being upset. That headline from Variety, $1,000 says Headland was part of that upset. Okay, Headland found everybody who was connected to that, because she's used Variety before. She used Variety to push this girl, Amanda Stenberg. Now, the movie meter has it, I'll tell you, the movie meter has it at 11,801, which is down. I don't know what exactly this means, but it's down almost 1,500 points in 1 year. But in 3 months, this month, it was down 3,632. Okay, so it goes up and down and up and down and up and down. Stenberg has lost points. No one wants this. There's no clamoring for it. Okay, and this shows the tone deafness of Leslie Headland. This is how disconnected this creature is. Obviously, we don't want it. We the fans. The fact that Bob Chapek just cut the cord on that awful idea of, what was it, a Beauty and the Beast prequel? LeFou's coming out. Who wants to see that? I mean, I don't want to see that. Yeah, they killed it during casting. I mean, and again, this is a Star Wars production, so it's going to be a hefty budget. Again, maybe, probably Headland is spending money that Kennedy gave her. That's fine. But this doesn't, look, it's connected to a book series no one reads that the fans have been mocking. Okay. It's connected to a part of the Star Wars, the Lucasfilm human resources department that the fans hate. And it's like, oh, thanks, just some other guy. I appreciate that. So these are, but we don't like Leslie Headland. She knows the fans don't like her. She has to. Kathleen Kennedy knows it. Example. Last Star Wars celebration, JJ walks out and and they did I think a sizzle reel for the rise of Dip Walker, and JJ walks out. He's uh, J, Stephen Colbert, I think it was him, introduces him. Kennedy gallops out hot on his heels. You know, why? She was afraid of getting booed. That's the only reason why she appeared. She's supposed to come out and be introduced after he was. Okay. She doesn't. She's afraid of the fans. There you go. They know they're hated. Okay. Why push something the fans don't like? I mean, you know, it just, why? Okay. It just doesn't, it's just, so this acolyte is actually connected to the High Republic, so it's not going to be Mara Jade or Palpatine, all right? Unless Jon Favreau goes in and takes up all of Headland's scripts and sets them on fire, and then rewrites them for her, no woke or anything, I'm sure he'd like to. But there's no reason for it. There's no clamoring for it. I look at this and going, okay, when is it going to be canceled? This is what I'm waiting for. Okay. They don't, and I'll tell you something else. Kennedy doesn't want to be looked at as a figurehead. All right. We're all pretty convinced now that she has nothing to say, okay, at all on Star Wars. This is the only thing that's outstanding here with her connection to Star Wars. It's connected to the stupid High Republic book series that no one reads, okay? And it's just, if John took it over and redid it and gave it and made it a Mara Jade story, or, and you could actually call something about Palpatine the Acolyte, and then use the Darth Plagueis storyline. That would be great. I mean, I think people would love it. Look, there's nobody more. What do you think, Kojak? I don't. There's nothing more interesting than a villain. Nothing less interesting than a poorly written hero. Okay. Palpatine, interesting villain. Rey, 2x4 that talks. There's a reason why we call her the bestest ever. And that's what people are looking at now. That's what people are looking at now. And if they have to muscle her out, Headland out, and then, tell Amanda we're sorry, but we're not using you. Look, you want to do something about Palpatine, I think it would be really great. Get a young British actor. You could, there are young British actors out there that are fantastic. Be easy to cast that role. And then you just do it. I think it would be a great show. As far as I can tell, what we're going to get is an adaptation of Heir to the Empire. And, for Disney Plus. But I also see, oh yeah, you're right, Cameron, on that one. But I also see if Ahsoka does well, and I think it will, if Mando 3 does well, and I think it will. I see Heir to the Empire, at least the last command, going to a feature film. But there's a rumor out there, and I have not heard it in a while, but I want to bring it up. And I've talked about this before, that they're thinking about adapting the Darth Bane trilogy to feature films, which you're 1,000 years before the New Republic, the Battle of Yavin. There you go. Yeah, I think you're right, Cameron. I mean, I really, when I saw this, I'm like, oh God, go away with her. Then I thought she put this on there because of that memo to pressure Chapek. I don't think he cares. I do not think he cares. That story, I read the Variety story. I know that Cameron has. I read it and I'm like, I know who's behind this. This is Iger's, what's left over of Iger's regime. This is probably people from Lucasfilm, probably from Kevin Feige's camp at Marvel, and across, the various things that and companies and entities that Disney owns, whining and bitching and moaning. Okay. Again, Disney doesn't have to say anything about a bill that is not anti-gay at all. Like I showed you guys in my last live, this is the bill the U.S. House of Representatives passed in June, on June 24th, 2002, or that's when this was written, for the Department of Homeland Security. This is the back of it, all right? This is what, I keep this with me. I wanted Army to autograph it, and he just scowled at me. Wanted nothing to do with it. He was the chairman of the committee. This is the bill that came out of conference with the Senate. Okay? The bill that I think the Florida Senate just passed has nothing to do with being anti-gay. It is not what the narrative says it is. It simply gives power back to the family and the parents to make decisions about discussing sexuality with their kids. I'm sorry, but a fourth grader doesn't need to know homosexuality at all. I mean, and the narrative that people like Headland and Kennedy and Iger, who went nuts on Twitter, want is to make people think it's anti-gay, and it's not. I mean, but again, I'm one of these people that look at someone who leans that way and go, you're not smart enough to understand what the bill is. The language, I read it. The language is simple. It's straightforward. Anybody with a a high school reading level could understand it because it's written for like fifth graders. It's, but they don't get it. And these people are not intellectually curious enough to actually read it. Wouldn't understand it if they did. And they depend on their followers to be intellectually incurious, so they don't read it. Okay? All right? And, so we've got this Variety article attacking Chapek, and we've got this Leslie Headland thing. I'm looking for Chapek to say enough's enough with her. And, if look, wake up in the morning and I'll give it 2 weeks. Okay? 2 weeks. And if there's nothing changed on this, it's been in pre-production since December 2020, which to me is basically, it's in limbo. It just is. And there you go. Yeah, I think you're right. I really, really do think you're right. It's well, I think these people don't understand. They never fail to shock me with their stupidity. And the reason why I say that is because you can sit there and read the tea leaves. JPEG said we're not getting involved. You pretty much could see the freak out coming from 1,000 yards away. Fine. You've got Zaslav coming. You've got Sam Elliott going off on Jane Campion. You've got Sean Penn going off about men being treated like crap in movies now. And then, the gay actor who played Gandalf, he basically went after woke folk too. Okay, there's a change in the air. And Headland and Kennedy are too dumb to see it coming. Okay, this is they're look. It doesn't woke Star Wars doesn't sell. It doesn't. It really, really, really doesn't. Okay, and Disney has better accounting records than I do. But when you have 3 movies mapped out, each one's supposed to make considerably more than the next one. Instead, they make considerably more than the last one, less than the last one. You got a problem. All right? The Force Awakens was a woke dumpster fire. It really was. Drunk, deadbeat dad Han Solo. Rey, the bestest ever. And Leia demoted because being a princess is bad. All right. You've got a black stormtrooper reduced to basically, sanitary engineering. It because that's what people like J.J. Abrams and Kathleen Kennedy think. Okay. Oh, I want to see her get her comeuppance. Look, Harvey Weinstein's personal assistant. She deserves some universal justice coming at her for some of that shit, because I know she was privy to all of the shit he was pulling, and she did nothing except kept her mouth shut, and she didn't do anything to protect those women. She didn't do anything to warn those women. Okay, she can sit there and bitch and moan and all the rest of that stuff, but look. I'll give you an example, and then I gotta go because I'm losing my voice again. And my phone is dying. I was watching Yep, that's true. I was watching The Secrets of Playboy, and like part 2, part 3, and part 4 were really revealing about Hefner. Very odd dude, borderline criminal. I'm not kidding. Sexual predator. And some of the stuff that happened there was just atrocious. And he was like a mafia boss. He had a cleanup crew. If a girl got hurt, she got raped, whatever, he'd have the crew come in there, take her out of there, not get her any hospital help, and clean it up, make it look like nothing happened. But there were women who did jobs, who worked for Playboy, who I think now realize that they were accomplices to all this. And I'm watching them weeping, about it. And I'm like, you're not crying over what he did to those girls. You're crying what you didn't do for those girls. You're part of this. You know, that's the thing that just, and you know, some of the excuses were like, really? You didn't realize this. You actually bought the propaganda that it was all art and all the rest of this stuff. You know, the stories of the parties where the girlfriend would be kicked out Thursday nights, and Hefner would have his friends come over, and they would get a pimp to bring girls in, or he would hire a porno queen, and it was just like, just vile, disgusting crap. Every one of those women who were dating him at the time knew what he was doing and did nothing. They did nothing. We were afraid, what's he gonna do? You were that afraid you wouldn't do any bullshit. Bullshit. You know, so when I see Headland as a personal assistant, you let it happen. You didn't tell those girls that you don't need to go and go up there. Don't. You know, you didn't at least warn them. You're part of the problem. All right? And it's just, and she's gonna get her comeuppance for that. All right? She is gonna get her comeuppance. And she deserves it. I mean, she really, really does. Again, I go back to that video of her looking at that black woman saying, tell me how I can be an ally to you. What the hell? I mean, I'm like, I was stunned. I was just like, she's not even aware she's doing this. She's not even aware. But again, I've seen it in real life. Awfuls are never aware of themselves. They do not see how they look to other people. But as far as this change in the status or the addition of a casting director and a production coordinator, it's a power play. That's it. That's all it is. It comes out the day Variety chooses to attack Bob Chapek, which is basically the club, crying. You know, and it's like, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a homework assignment. Go and look up what Michael Ovitz said, if you can find it, about the gay mafia. It was back in the early 90s in Hollywood. This shit started then, okay? This shit started then. And it's a lot more complicated than just a bunch of awfuls. No, it won't work. I mean, Headland is not a likable person anyway. She's not. I mean, she's whatever. Anyway, losing my voice. Phone's dying, so I gotta go. You guys have a good afternoon, and I'll see you around the galaxy. But remember, I was the one that broke the story. I was. Just kidding. You don't have to say that. Anyway, see you guys around the galaxy.